This is the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS show with John Impemba and James Grande.
What is going on, FA Nation? John Impemba here with Keith Eister. Welcome into the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS Playbook live show. We're looking at the Monday DraftKings 4-game main slate. While I work to get the DraftKings slate going, Keith did your playbook here today. Keith, how are we feeling about things tonight, man?
Pretty good. Nice little 4-gamer here. We have most of the injury news. We did get a midday downgrade that might be important, kind of a chalky value piece there.
Yeah.
Brandon Williams with Dallas. Looks like AD and Gafford should be good to go. They were both at shoot around. So other than that, on FanDuel, you have James Harden questionable, which is a big deal there, obviously. But on the DraftKings slate, pretty smooth sailing other than the Brandon Williams stuff.
Yeah, 4 games, obviously, we talked about the value on the preview show, and, we hit the Brandon Williams, Ryan Nembhard, split. We're like, well, they're sharing minutes, so you kind of pick and play the cheaper one. Well, if Brandon Williams doesn't play, it makes it a lot easier to go to Ryan Nembhard here tonight. So we'll see if any other news comes here while we're doing the show. That game is 9 p.m. Eastern time. The slate starts at 7 p.m., so maybe we'll see whether or not we get that one. We do appreciate you guys tuning in with us here. Jeff popping in. We got Joe as well saying, let's get that bag. Jeff Powell saying good evening. And Spin the Block, new name every other time he comes into the show, but always happy to have you here. I just know the profile photo. He says good evening. Guys, we appreciate you guys tuning in. You want to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Is a free way to support the work we do here over at Fantasy Alarm. If you feel so inclined, you can also hit that join button. It's $4.99 a month to get cool emojis, badges, and when we hit 50 subscribers to the channel, we're going to start doing some member-only content for you guys as well. We are getting closer to that milestone. We'll certainly let you guys know when that happens and what we have planned for all of you. But if you want to get in now, you can. It also gives you some question priority. So if you are remembered and you do have a question, we'll answer your question ahead of everybody else's. If you want to send us some super chats, you can do that as well. We'll answer your question on the stream and pull it up and get you guys ready for tonight's main slate. Steve, so Marvin says he's ready to win. I'm ready to win tonight as well here, Keith. So let's just jump into it. Your top price play tonight, Nikola Jokic, Cade Cunningham up over $10,000. Brings us a point guard where you have Cade at 10-7. $2,000 difference between he and Jamal Murray. Amen Thompson round out your top 3. When you were doing the playbook today, man, where were you looking to get to?
I mean, I would love to get to Cade. It's kind of a tough matchup here. We're going to talk a lot about Jordan Walsh and what he's been doing on the perimeter for Boston's defense. So this is not the easiest matchup. Overall, Boston doesn't have a great defensive ranking, so it looks like a decent matchup on paper. But I think that Walsh is pretty legitimate. So I'm not sure that I'm prioritizing Cade. I'll put it that way. Of course, he's fantastic. He's been amazing this season. Has shown a 70 fantasy point ceiling. He's even got one better than that in the game log, consistently putting up 50 fantasy points. But on a Jokic slate, I think that I would prioritize Jokic over Cade. Murray is an interesting pivot if you're not playing Jokic, obviously. He's shown some ceiling as well.
Yeah.
Really tough matchup here for Denver, with Houston being one of the top defenses in the league. But
I was going to say, he probably draws the Amen Thompson defense, right? And that's can be difficult at times. We overblow the occasional individual defensive matchup, and Murray's a guy that can get his shot really whenever he wants, and teams have to just sag on Jokic so often as well that he does open him up a lot for offense. But he is going to get chased around by Thompson there, which is probably the only minor deterrent to his ceiling tonight. And then Thompson below him, he's been really good lately as well.
Yeah, I do like him on Thompson here. Denver's defense has really fallen off without Christian Braun and Aaron Gordon in particular. Since Aaron Gordon was injured, the worst defense in the NBA as far as efficiency goes. I like Thompson. If I'm picking one Houston Rocket, I do have one slight preference here,
Sure.
But Thompson is fantastic.
If you're going down a little bit further, we mentioned on the preview show, I think it was Steve who said he was trying to not get talked off or get talked out of playing Keontae George. Keontae went for 39 actual, 6 and 8 in that game. Gets a matchup now against Dallas. You rightfully had Michael Porter Jr. in the cover of your playbook on Friday. He went off against his Dallas defense that is really stingy on the perimeter. a rare good 3-point shooting performance out of Keontae George. He's been attacking the rim a ton, got to the free throw line 10 times in that game against Memphis. Where does he kind of figure into your plans tonight? And then you got him, you got Derek White, Tyler Hero, and Emmanuel quickly in that 7K range.
Yeah, George is the priority here. I do like one other name that you just mentioned there that we'll get to next, but Keontae George is my favorite. The ceiling has just been absolutely phenomenal this season. The 3-point stuff in Michael Porter was definitely interesting, and Dallas, like I'm buying that they limit 3-point shooters, but yeah. I guess my feeling on matchups like that are shooters are going to shoot, and there was no reason for Michael Porter not to shoot in that game. But yeah, you mentioned it. Dallas is really tough on the 3. I think that affects Lauri Markkanen more than it does Keontae George in this matchup. So if I'm picking a Utah player, and I like Dallas a ton on this slate, probably the top priority, I want some Utah exposure. We'll talk about some cheaper options as well, but Keontae George is certainly firmly in my player pool as one of my highest exposure point guards. White and Hero are fine. I have a little concerns about Hero and how he fits alongside Norman Powell. Norman Powell has not ceded any usage to him. So I'm off of Hero for now until that. Miami looks like a really good team, but I'm not sure what Hero's ceiling is at this point alongside Norman Powell. White is fine, but it's a tough matchup against Detroit. It's Emmanuel Quickly is the other guy that I really want to talk about here, just because of the game environment. Miami plays at the fastest pace in the league. Quickly is fantastic in transition. 7K without RJ Barrett feels like a really nice price tag.
Yeah, I agree with you. And again, he has a really high ceiling when he wants to go, and you see almost like every other game he's going for 40+ fantasy points. So in a game that's supposed to be high scoring and fast paced, this feels like a really good spot at a really good price. One of the cheaper tags we've seen on since we turned the calendar to December here. So I'm with you. I did a lot of snake drafts over on Underdog today and got to a lot of Quickly there in like the middle rounds, which was nice for me there. At least I felt like going to the value again right now. Brandon Williams is among the highest roster players on the slate. If we don't get the news before roster lock, it makes it kind of easy just to plug in Nembhard, and then if Williams plays, pivot back down. But just play Nembhard at this point, right?
Yeah, I think that's exactly how you handle it. Nobody is really going to be bothered by leaving $300 on the table. That's perfectly fine. And it's much better than not being able to get up to Nembhard off of Williams. Like, because if Williams is out, we also have D'Angelo Russell out. Nembhard's in line for like 32 to 35 minutes here in this spot. Like, he would be the best value play on the slate if Williams gets rolled out.
Yeah, I mean, he had double-doubles last time. He played 30+ minutes, so like it is also kind of interesting that we see them go away from him, the last few times. It's funny that they didn't see him go away from him at times when he had these good games, but that's sort of the NBA rotations for you. Nothing is certain as guys get healthier. So I'm with you there. Would you play any other value plays here at point guard?
We skipped over Pritchard. I don't mind him. Again, that's a tough matchup. He does have the Q tag as well, one that we didn't touch on, but just another name that I don't mind. Anthony
Simons would obviously pop if Pritchard was ruled out, and that's a 7 p.m. game, so we would get that information.
Yeah, good call there. Definitely something to keep in mind. It's not a situation that I've kind of planned for because we are going to get the information before lock, and then I'll dive in and make my decisions from there. Simon's definitely a guy that's going to pop there. I think it would also make Jaylen Brown a bigger priority, who's not currently a priority for me. One other name, if Tari Eason does not make it back today, Aaron Holiday has had an awesome role. I certainly don't mind playing him at 3,900.
Yeah, that's true.
But I'm a little bit concerned about the minutes for Holiday if Eason is back again.
Okay, I mean, he has been shooting lights out right now as well, which is kind of like crazy. Crazy to think about. We saw at times like him play over Reed Shepherd as well.
He's been closing.
Yeah.
Over Jabari Smith. He's been closing with Reed Shepherd, and Jabari Smith has been the one that's been kind of losing the minutes. That's why the Eason stuff does concern me a little bit.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens there with his minutes. Getting not a ton of ownership, but Walter Clayton Jr., at least from what I'm looking at right now, is around 16%. We don't know what happened. He played 8 minutes. I theorized on the preview show he had 3 fouls in 8 minutes, and they were just like, Hardy was like, not today, kid. Like, you're on the bench. We're going to give Collier a look. Collier played well, and Collier stuck on the floor because of it. would you go back to Walter Clayton?
I think it's fine in tournaments. It's really Hardy is one of those coaches, and there's several of them in the league. Memphis comes to mind. Certainly Steve Kerr comes to mind, where they will randomly, for no apparent reason, will just change up their rotation in some games.
Yeah.
So maybe it was like a benching type of thing because he was a little foul happy in that game, and he plays 24 minutes again in the spot. Because Isaiah Collier is sitting there, and maybe it's a 2 or 3 game thing, and then Clayton just plays 8 minutes again. So I think it's for deep, large field tournaments only. But I don't like the play. I do like the play if he can get 20 minutes. I'm not certain about that.
And where are you with Jaden Ivey? Got him up to 19 minutes. We did see that was a blowout, and none of the starters returned in that game, and Ivey played into the fourth with sort of the backups there. But they do got to get him built up. I mean, if they're going to make noise in the playoffs this year, Jaden Ivey, I assume, is going to be a 20-plus minute a night guy off the bench, if not in the starting lineup next to Cade. $3,600 against Boston today. Any thoughts there?
Yeah, I don't mind it. I don't know that he's necessarily going to come out and play 25 minutes tonight, but I think with the value on the slate. Now, I will say if Williams gets ruled out, you're just going to prioritize Nembhard.
I agree.
But right now, I think you can make pivots like this where Ivy falls into 25 DraftKings points and outscores Williams, and then is just a much lower owned option for a little bit cheaper too. So the reason we're talking about plays like that are because Nikola Jokic is on the slate. Like
it's a 4-game slate. 4-game slate with a 12-7 joker. We are getting some Jaden Hardy messages in the chat. He played 20 minutes against OKC in that blowout game there. If there's no Brandon Williams, does Jaden Hardy get any bump for you?
I think he has to, yeah, just because of Russell already out. He's already kind of filling in what Russell has been giving him, which isn't much.
Yeah.
But now he would have to run the backup point guard, I would think, unless they just lean on Cooper Flagg to do that again. But I think they've tried that, and I think Hardy would have a good role here.
Yeah, and this would again be like your 20 max or greater field tournament here. You're not single entering some Jaden Hardy at 3K unless you are just throwing caution to the wind there. Shooting guard. Yeah, KD here at 83, got Brandon Ingram at $8,000.
Yeah, I like both of them quite a bit. I think they both have an incredible ceiling. Ingram's usage rate has been over 30% since RJ Barrett went down, and it's the up-tempo matchup against the fastest team in the league. So I like Ingram. I think I like Durant even more. The matchup against Denver is just intriguing. Aaron Gordon is the guy who would normally guard Kevin Durant in this matchup, and he's not there. The Denver defense has been atrocious since Gordon went down. Gordon actually got hurt in this matchup last time, and he only played like 6 minutes, and KD did not have a great game in that first matchup. So I'm a little bit torn because everything I'm seeing screams that KD should have an eruption game here, but he did not in the last game. So I don't know exactly what happened there.
Peyton Watson matchup again. And obviously we consider Watson to be a decent defender, but nothing that Durant, I would imagine, shouldn't be able to handle. So I'm kind of with you there. I like both of those plays. Again, we mentioned Derek White at point guard. He's getting around 20% ownership, but you mentioned liking Dallas and wanting Dallas exposure. Cooper Flagg, $7,200, coming off some really good games here. It honestly feels like he's just going to get better as the season progresses because everybody expected so much of him when he came into the league that the expectations were super high. He obviously struggled a little bit, got his feet wet, getting used to the pace of the game. They had him playing out of position, which certainly didn't help. And now they got him back on the wing, and he's making plays. He's scoring the basketball. Man, a really great matchup against Utah tonight.
This is an 18-year-old generational talent here that we're talking about.
Right.
Like, there was going to be some struggles always. There's also going to be some peaks, and we have seen that. He's in a really good stretch right now. I don't know what has clicked for him. He's still not making threes. Like, that's the scary part. He's putting up these numbers without making 3-pointers.
I was going to say, what's clicked is he's not taking them, right? Like, he's opting for the better shot right now, and that's worked.
Yep, absolutely. I love the play. I think the ceiling is fantastic, and it's the best matchup on the board.
I agree. You mentioned Norm taking some of that usage away from Tyler Hero, but does that put him on your board here today? $6,900 for Norm Powell and sort of a healthy Miami situation. Usage rate over the last 10 games sitting around 27%, still playing a whole bunch of minutes. There isn't a ton of the mid range after you get past Cooper Flag here, unless if it's not really Norm Powell.
Yeah, he's firmly in play for that reason. If you need to pivot off a Flag for whatever reason, he's certainly an option. But there aren't many other options at the position, so I have nothing bad to say about him. He's perfectly fine. I am a little concerned about the ceiling, but the usage rate looks really strong. He's gonna get his shots up, so I don't mind it.
Anybody else here that you're looking at?
Let's see here. Don't think so, unless I'm Najee Marshall. We can talk about him as small forward. That covers it for shooting guard.
Yeah, we'll talk about Najee there. And again, obviously, there's injury news. You have Tim Hardaway, Cam J, guys for ancillary pieces in Denver. Simons would pop off if Pritchard's out, but we'll get that news there. Small forward, Jaylen Brown, $9,700. This guy in this last matchup, we talked about it on the preview show a few times when they faced Detroit. I'm trying to pull it up. I think it was like 51.9% usage rate in this game against Detroit right here. He had 33, 10, and 5. They won 117, 114. He had 60 fantasy points. Manhattan was a 52% usage rate in this game. His usage rate sitting around 38% over the last 10 games as it is. It's gone for 30 or more in 4 straight games. $9,700. Difficult to get to if you're playing Nikola Jokic here tonight. What are your thoughts on Jaylen Brown here?
Yeah, it's the price tag that I struggle with because he offers some peripheral stuff, but he's probably not going to double. He's got a chance to do it.
Secondary numbers, right?
Yes. The usage is fantastic, like league leading usage. I think last time I looked, the only people he was behind in usage were Luka Doncic and Giannis Antetokounmpo. He has been just getting his shots up as he should be without Jason Tatum. Yeah. So nothing bad to say about him. It's a big price tag for somebody I'm not sure can even double, let alone triple double.
Yeah, and you're right. Luka, Giannis, and Jaylen Brown, 36.7, 36, and 35.3 out of the usage rates. Joel Embiid, 4th, by the way, because that guy is, when healthy, still a monster. All right, so you got JB there. A lot of these guys we've talked about. PJ Washington, Jabari Smith, 67, 63. Jaime Jaquez, 6K. Anybody there for you?
Yeah, PJ Washington stands out just because of the matchup. I know the minutes were down in that last game, but there was some foul trouble there. He lost his first quarter rotation a couple of minutes, and then in the third quarter, he picked up, I believe it was his 4th foul, like a minute in, and sat the rest of the third quarter. He didn't end up coming back and playing the entire 4th quarter without fouling, so we can have that discussion about whether people actually need to be benched if they're in foul trouble, but he was in this last game. I don't expect that to be the case again. I expect him right back in that 34 to 36 minute range. I would feel even better about that if Gafford does get rolled out. But again, he was at shoot around, on track to play, it looks like. But I still have interest in PJ just because of the matchup.
Sure. Value here. You have Watson. You mentioned Najee Marshall. He is getting some ownership. Asor Thompson is someone that Grande's kind of been peaking at now that the price tag's around 5K. And then Ace Bailey in this spot.
Yeah, I'm interested in all 3 of those names because I like the roles for the price. Marshall has been in the starting lineup instead of Max Christie here it's been like 6 games now. I don't see any reason why they would shake that up at this point. We've been harping on that matchup. It's the best on the board. Asar Thompson is cheap as well, 5,100. Lost some minutes in the blowout last game. He just fills up the stat sheet, does a little bit of everything. Good defensive statistics as well, so certainly don't mind that. And then Ace Bailey has been over 30 minutes in 3 straight. So that role looks really strong. His production hasn't necessarily caught up to this role, but I think it's going to. We talked about Cooper Flag and his struggles. Well, Ace Bailey's kind of a similar situation. Really good prospect, learning his way around the league right now. I think there's a ton of ceiling for 4,700 if something clicks for him.
Sure. Anything else for value down here? Again, I mentioned Tim Hardaway Jr. is getting minutes, obviously free to shoot. Maybe Sam Hauser, if Pritchard got out, would get a little bit more run just because of the shortened rotations that they
would they start Hauser. You think they slide White to the point and then Hauser starts?
They probably might. I don't think they want to start Anthony Simons, so it's certainly possible.
Yeah, that was my thought too. Is they want to keep Simons in that 6-man role, so I think they would slide White to the point and start Hauser.
It doesn't make Hauser like any more appealing, but like
right,
Mr. like 12% usage rate. All right, that's probably it. Right? Nothing else down here for you?
Nothing else for me.
All right, power forward then. Anthony Davis is $9,500. He's still dealing with that face contusion, but was at practice or morning shoot around rather. So we assume, never assume with Anthony Davis, but we assume good to go here. I'll talk about Şengün at center. That gives us Scotty Barnes and Lauri Markkanen as your top 3 guys.
Yeah, Anthony Davis is the top priority for me on the entire slate. Just the matchup is too awesome. Utah plays really fast. They don't play defense. They allow a ton of rebounds. Anthony Davis is live to go for like 25 and 15 in the spot without even breaking a sweat. He played 33 minutes in the last game. If he gets that level, like it's wheels up here. We're talking about 60 plus fantasy points. So just too cheap of a price for this matchup for AD.
I like that you said 25 because I wrote up his over 23.5 tonight. So let's cash that bet for us here. Scotty Barnes, 9K.
Yeah, I mean, the ceiling has been incredible. We know he fills up the stat sheet. No, RJ Barrett certainly helps him find a ceiling a little bit more frequently, as he's shown over the past few games.
The highest projected roster power forward right now is Kyle Filipowski. He had started the last time Yusuf Nurkic didn't play. It was this game against Brooklyn. He played 31 minutes, had 15, 8, and 5. Obviously, expectations are that he should start. If they do decide to go like a Kevin Love route, you would still think Kyle Filipowski is going to play a good amount of minutes here. So almost 40% of the field right now getting to Filipowski.
Yeah, and I have a hard time getting away from it. Even if Love starts, which I don't think they will do, like he's not playing more than 20 minutes at this stage of his career. Filipowski is perfectly capable of playing 30 minutes. Dallas gets absolutely roasted in the paint, which is where Filipowski has done a lot of his work this season. Yep. So good rebounder as well. Yeah, it's hard to get away from that at that price.
I agree. I know you mentioned Jabari not closing, but he's been really good lately the last couple of games here. So I'm just kind of interested to see kind of how he continues to play out. We had the Jordan Walsh GPP. Jordan Walsh up to 5K now. Grande did point out like he is shooting kind of an unsustainable 3-point level right now. Again, he's not a 3-point shooter. He's not taking a ton, but lately he's gone 3 of 4 and 4 or 5. He's basically not missing from the field. I've kind of told him like he is an all-out energy guy. He starts out these games and just goes, right? And next thing you know, you look up, he's at 8 points, 3 rebounds, and 2 steals in the first like 8 minutes of the game. Very low floor, as we've seen, at times, but where are you at a $5,000 Jordan Walsh tonight?
So the shooting is really interesting, and I dug into it a little bit and just to see how he's scoring. And sure. Grande is not wrong. He is making an absurd amount of threes right now, which I don't expect to continue. He has not been a good 3-point shooter in his career, dating back to college even.
27% was. So.
Yeah. Not that doesn't mean he's not a good 3-point shooter today. I think he could be a 40% 3-point shooter at this point. To call him a 49% 3-point shooter, I mean, I think that's probably a stretch. So yeah. I agree with Grande. The shooting is not going to continue at this level. But what he's also doing is getting a ton of transition buckets and a ton of buckets in the paint. Over 50% of his points have been scored in the paint. So it's not just 3-pointers. Then on top of that, he adds steals and blocks at a very high rate, and he adds rebounds. He's a good rebounder as well. This is the current version of Jordan Walsh that we've seen over now like 6 or 7 games is a very good fantasy player. One that's worth way more than $5,000 if he's going to get 26 minutes. And he played 32 minutes last game. I think the field is way underrating Jordan Walsh and the impact that he has on this Boston team. They obviously found something here, and I don't see any reason for it to go away anytime soon.
Yeah, again, like being obviously from Boston and being a little bit plugged in more into the team, as we all are kind of our hometown teams. Jaylen Brown advocated to Joe Mazzulla to get Jordan Walsh to be on the floor, to be sort of that defensive guy. And when we do DFS and we talk a lot about usage rate. Jordan Walsh is never going to be a usage rate champion. He is a guy that stands in the dunker position. He gets a lot of weak side passes. He gets a lot of rebounds. He gets a lot of fast break points because he is getting steals and things like that and getting points in transition. So to your point, he doesn't have to be an efficient 3-point shooter. He is obviously knocking down at a rate that we're not really expecting him to continue. But the points of the paint should continue for him, just the way he scores, like you said. So I'm with you on that. I like him at 5K. And on a 4-game slate, I mean, like, what are your alternatives? There's Toby Harris, that feels safe, but certainly doesn't have the ceiling that Walsh has. And you kind of work your way down the list. I mean, Stewart, we know, can pop off in 20 minutes off the bench. Is there anything else here that you'd want to play?
Yeah, Harris does look a little bit too cheap. I know he doesn't have a great ceiling, but he can get 30 points, and at 4,800, that's enough. So I do think Toby is in play.
Okay. Over at the center position, again, Joker's 12-7. So the reason we talked about all that cheap gross value earlier in the show is because people are trying to figure out a way to get a guy that can go for 80 fantasy points in their lineup if they're not playing Cade in that Boston matchup. How are you feeling about him tonight? Is he your number one play? The field on DraftKings that I'm looking at right now, only around 14% for Nikola Jokic tonight. So they're not comfortable with the value that they're getting to. So maybe turning leverage on a 4-game slate here?
Yeah, certainly. If I'm playing 20 lineups, I would want to be over that ownership number. If I was playing one lineup, I would not say he's my priority. I prefer Anthony Davis tonight for the price and in the fantastic matchup. So you cannot possibly say a bad word about Jokic, but Davis is an awesome play tonight for $3,000 less is the only thing working against him. And the value isn't super comfortable. If Williams gets ruled out and Nembhard looks like an auto jam, like maybe this is a different conversation. But for right now, I prefer a little bit more balanced build with AD over Jokic.
Yeah, I think in a world where maybe Peyton Pritchard gets ruled out and Williams gets ruled out, now all of a sudden you've got 2 4K guards. You can make that.
You might be able to play AD and Jokic.
Yeah, and get him to fit in. So Şengün's 93. Any interest there?
Slight interest, yes. Obviously has Jokic, really tough matchup.
Yeah.
He was also not great in the first meeting between these two teams against Jokic. That doesn't mean that he can't come out and smash in this game. He just smashed against Ivica Zubac in his last game, who is widely considered a tough matchup. So Şengün's awesome. He has a really high ceiling. Again, not a priority for me on this slate, but certainly wouldn't try to talk you out of him.
We did just get Peyton Pritchard update. He will be available tonight. So there goes your any hope for some Simons value. You're going to get fast PP out there against Detroit. Speaking of Detroit, you have Bam at 79, Jalen Duren at $7,700.
Bam's fine, but what's the ceiling? He will pop off for a ceiling. I don't know how to predict it though. I said, this Miami team is kind of tough to figure out. It's a really good team, but there's almost too many mouths to feed with everybody healthy.
That's what I said to Grant. I'm like, you're going to have a lot of nights where you look at the stat line for Miami, like, oh, Hero scored 22 and Powell scored 24 and Bam had 15 and 10. And those were all great for real basketball numbers.
Right.
Sucks for DFS. None of those are what you want unless they're $5,500 and not $8,000, So I'm in agreement with you there. Where are you with Duren tonight? Any interest?
Yeah, some interest. It's hard to get there just because I'm prioritizing AD so much, but I certainly don't mind the play. Boston has been beat up by centers plenty of times. So, and we've seen Duren go for ceiling games plenty of times as well. I will say he was doing it much more frequently when Tobias Harris was out of the lineup.
Yep.
But that doesn't mean he can't go for 50 here in the spot.
Yeah, for sure. And when Toby was out, they were running sort of the double big too, right? So Stewart, his natural backup, was starting next to him. So they were
minute ceiling increased. Yep.
Yep. Pirtle's here at 56. Steve mentions that Grande talked about him maybe not being healthy. 25 minutes pretty consistently here. Some of those games obviously were blowout losses. We did have ceiling minutes at one point for him. Do you like Jakob Pirtle at 56, or would you rather play Mamu at 45?
I have to lean Mamu at this point because I don't trust the minutes for Pirtle. It was in that stretch of 30 games that he was like, yeah, the back's feeling great. Like, I feel as healthy as I have in a long time. And it was almost, I think it was the next game that he started playing these mid-20s minutes again.
Yeah.
He's a fantastic per minute producer, but if I'm only getting 24 minutes, it's a hard click.
I agree. All of this just to say, like, Kyle Filipowski does have center eligibility. So, like, where you say you're playing AD, probably because that power forward and at center, you're just chugging in Filipowski potentially here. Would you play like a Neemias Queta or any other value? Maybe Steven Adams gets some extra run tonight against Denver. Anything there? Kevin Love? Do you like that play? Like, what are we doing tonight?
We saw some vintage Kevin Love, didn't we? The old 20 points.
I literally couldn't believe what I was looking at when I saw the. I'm like, he did what? What do you mean he had 20 and 8? Like,
if he was a 5% owned GPP play, sure, I'd be into it. I can't play Kevin Love into ownership in the year 2025. Like, just I don't think so. Kada, I am interested.
3,500, maybe you could take a stab, because like he did have this run, right, where it's like 19, 24, 21, and 13, 17, and 15 new minutes. Like, is he still out there doing it? Like, is he still can do it? Like, you know. But
yeah, I mean, he's still a great per minute guy. I don't think he's playing more than. There's no chance he plays more than 20. It's a hard cap.
I would hard agree with you on that as well. Really, nobody else from an ownership standpoint. I did like skim by Kada. As of now, Kada is the third highest rostered center. So, again,
I don't love that ownership. I think there is a ceiling there, but against Duren, how often is he going to find it? Detroit's a really good defense as a team.
Yeah.
You mentioned
he's there to be a body against Duren. That's basically all it is, right? Like, not a guy that the offense finds him. He's more of an offensive rebound guy. So I'm kind of with you there as well.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions in here? Love against Powell, says Funky. Yeah, I mean, that's an old timer matchup right there, right? Dwight Powell versus Kevin Love off the bench. All right, guys, again, we appreciate you tuning in with us. If you want to hit that like, share, and subscribe button, our goal every show is to get 100 likes. There's over 300 of you currently in the chat, so go ahead, hit that thumbs up button for us. Let's go ahead and build a core lineup for us. It's pretty clear we're going to start with Anthony Davis here, and I think we go at Nembhard and just kind of wait on this Brandon Williams news. Where do we go from here?
I think we're both in agreement that Jordan Walsh is not being rostered enough by the field.
I'm with you.
Like, he's going to be one of my highest rostered players because he's underowned.
Filipowski at center.
Yes. Yep. That was the other, I think, is a pretty clear and obvious value. Keontae George would be my next priority spend.
Okay. We'll leave it there to them. Shooting guard, small forward, and utility. We'll put the full lineup in the Discord for all of you guys. You can find that link to the Discord in the description of today's show. If you want to become a member of Fantasy Alarm right now, you see at the bottom, scroll 50% off that first month. FantasyAlarm.com/YouTube. Promo code YT50 will autofill. Apply that promo code, $19.99 a month for the first month there of your All-Pro subscription, which covers all sports, not just NBA, NFL, NHL, MMA, PGA, all the good stuff, all included in your All-Pro package, all of our Best Bets article, DFS, and seasonal content. 50% off for that first month. You can cancel at any time. If you want to take 20% off each month, up at the top left corner there, you see NBA 20. You can go to fantasyalarm.com/NBA20, enter promo code NBA20 there. You take 20% off each month. So your long-term savings versus initial savings there pays for itself. That includes all of our draft guides and cheat sheets. Fantasy baseball season is right around the corner, Keith. It's crazy to think about. We're already almost in baseball season. We'll be having our draft guide released soon for baseball. So get in on that right now. Get 20% off your All-Pro with NBA 20 is your promo code. No show tomorrow, just the one game for the Cup. What's your prediction? Do we got Spurs or Knicks?
Ooh, man, Wemby is pretty impressive. I'll be curious to see how many minutes he plays. If they had full Wemby, I think I'd be leaning Spurs in the spot.
Okay. Jalen Brunson looking great. I love just the wing depth that they have now in San Antonio with Castle, Fox, Harper's looking good, Vassell, Keldon Johnson, Champagny. Like, that's a deep team. I think I lean San Antonio here just for the star factor. I think we'll have a preview show for the Showdown slate, though. I got to talk to Grande. Grande probably will want to go live. I have no idea what we're going to do. We'll talk about it. You'll see it on site. If not, get us in the Discord. We're always there answering your questions. We'll catch you later.